What can they do that forces you to go, you can't be part of KHI anymore?
That would probably have to be a social media post or something that is negative toward our clients, sponsors. That's the thing. I mean, the one thing about KHI, when you look at our portfolio of athletes, there's a common denominator. And the thing is, they all get along. They're people skills. They can talk, and they're all winners. Okay? And if you look at it, whether it's golf, whether it's UFC, whether it's NASCAR, everybody's won at some level. Okay? Golf, we've got 10-time winners in the PGA Tour. Our golfers are combined. NASCAR, it's hundreds of wins. But my point is, when everybody, not only is a professional athlete and a winner, they know what each person needs. I fly with Kevin 95% of the time to the races. Even though I'm managing all these clients, they don't look at it and say, oh, there he is with Kevin. He's Kevin's his favorite client. Kevin's this. No, Kevin owns our company. We talk business. I come to you. We're all in this together. So that's kind of how it is. But I get that question a lot. I get that question a lot from people in the garage. Other drivers. I'm talking to other drivers right now. And the first thing they say, especially last year, was will Kevin know everything that when I come to you will Kevin know what my salary is? Will Kevin know this? It's a great question. We get that a lot. We say this, Kevin oversees our company. He gives input. He sees it all. He's a part of everything. 99.9% of the time, he's given the right information. Okay? Nobody's perfect, but he gives the right information to the point where he was a big part of the Ricky Stenhouse deal. Because I texted him and I told him where I was and within 5 seconds he told me the 3 teams that had drivers available. You got to remember this. This was after the Roval, is when this happened 4 years ago. This was after Roval. There's not much time left in the year to find a job, and we were fortunate enough to find it by working together. And we had Ricky. Ricky was let go. He finished the season out, but Ricky was let go, and 4 hours later we had a contract in hand reviewing.
Ricky told us, in vivid detail how that whole thing transpired on the download when Ricky was on talking to Dell and I. It's pretty fascinating if anybody wants to hear that story. I mean, but that's where I remember very specifically Kevin being very vocal right off the jump, right after he was fired. I remember that. Mm-hmm. Kevin was automatically vocal in the media, completely unimpressed of how he was let go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that obviously wasn't a strategic thing. That's Kevin being who he is, right? Yeah. That's Kevin, going to bat for the thing that's right versus the things that he sees are wrong. And I always appreciated that. So what is the answer, by the way, when those guys ask if Kevin knows their salaries? The answer is yes, of course he does, right?
Well, he knows everything. He doesn't review their contracts and stuff that. Fred and I do that. But he wants to make sure they're happy. Yeah. They're making what they need. Like, he'll get on us and say, get him more or get him this or he deserves this. He wants to make sure everybody gets exactly what they want. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And that's a big part of our sport right now. Everybody wants to get what they want. But then when they look at the breakdown of what the team is bringing in for sponsorship, it goes back to divvied out. It goes all back to that bonus program. You can look at a contract right now, and you don't even have to look at the end where it says the salary and the base pay and all that. If you look at the bonus program and you see $500,000 to make the playoffs and $300,000 for a win, you know that, one, they're not expecting for you to win. Okay, and I'm dead serious. It doesn't matter what sport that is. That's how it is. It's the bonus structure. It's no different than if you look at an NFL team. His contract's $90 million. Well, he's only getting paid 32 of the 90. He's got to make a Pro Bowl, be the MVP, win the Super Bowl, and there's his $90 million. So my point is, there's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. Yeah. Could you imagine? I told something this the other day. Could you imagine if NASCAR and the teams released the numbers of what these guys make? Whether it's truck, Xfinity, and Cup. Like, you watch baseball, these guys get $2 million signing bonuses out of high school, and they're going to play single-A baseball. Okay? They do this. But the sport would be crazy if they used to release the purse, which was awesome because people would text me and holy cow, you guys get that much money to do circles that don't know anything about racing? Right. They don't get it. But if they saw this, I tell this people today, NASCAR drivers, there's a lot of money out there. People walk in, you go shopping at a store, you see people wearing all still Dale Jr. stuff or still whatever it is. They're wearing that stuff because that's their guy, okay? That's what it is. You go to a football game, everybody's wearing that stuff, but this is nation. Panther fans are here. There's some Panther fans all over the country.
Other places.
But there's race fans all over this country, and they were in the same stuff. So NASCAR drivers, if we would just release that stuff, which I don't want them to, but I'm just saying if they ever did, I think the sport would be bigger. Because I think people would be like, I'm going to go watch this. This dude's making this much money to drive in a circle. I got to see what it's like. You know what I mean? Because you think about that. Everything is so quiet and private. In golf, all the purses are shared, and they know what you make. They don't know what your sponsorship deals are, but they know what that is. NASCAR is like the only sport in all of professional sports. When we fight, right when the fight's over, we fight Conor McGregor, Cowboy did. As soon as the fight was over, 2 hours later, boom, there's your pay. And they were like, wow, look at how much money these guys are making.
I never thought about that.
But that's NASCAR. NASCAR doesn't do that, which is fine because it is kind of all over the place. But they're still all professional athletes. But the money, I'm telling you, it would open people's eyes if they saw how much money a lot of these guys made or how much least money they made.
Both ways.
That's
what I'm thinking, yeah.
So,
hey, Kelly, are you doing what I'm
point.
doing when he's talking about you can tell based off the bonus structure of the contracts on whether the team's got money? Are you thinking about what our contracts are with our drivers right now?
Yeah. Yeah, but ours are, a little different, but yes.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, my God, who's he talking about?
no, I'm not talking about anybody. The good thing about this sport is a lot of the managers talk, just like the owners talk. A lot of the managers talk, so we kind of see what a lot of guys are. And I'm not even talking about any of my guys. I'm saying in general. When I picked up a lot of these guys, they were already under contracts. They have good if you're a Cup Series driver, you're living fine.
Yeah.
Okay? That's fine. But what I'm saying though is some of these race teams, whether it's trucks, Xfinity or Cup, if they only pay purse, they can't pay salary, the salary's low. It's just because they're trying to break even to race.
Yeah.
It's not that they're doing anything bad.
Yeah, our model is so heavily concentrated on sponsorship. Yep. That's the bottom line.
But you race to break even here too on the race cars.
Oh, absolutely.
See,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what we always did too.
Absolutely.
You race to break even.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the key. So that's why when you see this stuff, they need this money. They need this just to break even to have it. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what team you're on and make the money you make. If the people on that team aren't getting paid and aren't making the right money to get the good guys on your team,
you're not going anywhere. Right, exactly.
People don't believe me when I say that, but the racing to break even, most teams that you think, just rake in money, they're just really breaking even. They may be making their money in other businesses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I mean, it's such a hard, difficult, arduous sport, right? Yeah. And you are signing up for it for another whole generation, by the way.
Well, I know, but I think, I was trying to, I don't know if you could articulate the differences between some of the athletes that you represent, like on, I'm just sitting here thinking about being a golfer. Okay. You've got to, you and only you have to be good golfer, period. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, you got to learn to, I guess, golf the course and whatever, but it's just in your hands, right? Mm-hmm. You've got the talent, you got the golfer. On the football team or the basketball team or the baseball team, baseball's probably a little different because you got to be able to hit well and but so many other variables go on in some of those sports, right? That is the team aspect.
Depending on a lot of other people.
Same thing in our sport. It's like dependent on so many different variables, right? You've got to be talented, don't get me wrong, but there's so many other variables. And so, I was just sitting here thinking like how to articulate the differences in the sponsorship and I don't know. I don't even know. It's just complicated. Motorsports is complicated at the end of the day.
It is the hardest.
It is complicated.
It is. It's the hardest sport I work in.
Yeah, from the driver's perspective to making it, to the team's perspective of operating, to the sponsorship model, because we are so heavily dependent on that sponsorship. As you were talking earlier, I was thinking about, when you're talking about all the different paint schemes, that really changed after 2008 and the economy, mm-hmm. and then now being able to go to market the way you can in social media and content, and there's less expensive ways versus the traditional ways of, TV and billboards and so on and so forth. And so it's just so different. To be able to do all that. So, and these other guys, golfers and ball players and all that, they're not dependent on how much money they can bring to the table. They get paid.
Right.
Based off of their talent.
They got to make the cut to get paid,
they got to make a cut.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like if they don't make the cut, it's hard.
Yeah, they have sponsors. So they have sponsors, and they have club deals and ball deals and shoe deals and glove deals. So they make the money.
Do. Absolutely.
But I will tell you this about the PGA Tour, and I've learned this over the last 10 years. It is the only professional sport where you can lose money as an athlete. And here's why. James Hahn is one of my golfers. Okay, James Hahn, when the season started, he made let's just say he made a tournament or two, and he made 30 or 40 grand, whatever it is, first 2 tournaments by making the cut. Then he missed 7 straight cuts in a row, which you're paying for hotels, flights, car rentals, food, a caddy. Caddy gets salary.
That's right.
Caddy's per diem, caddy's hotel room, caddy's rental car. Okay, so you're putting all that in there. So you're every weekend. That's 7 straight weekend. Let's just say $10,000 a weekend.
Yeah, to go.
You're out $70 grand because you didn't make a cut.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're gone 7 days a week. So you miss 7 straight cuts. You're down. Okay, then he comes to Charlotte that year after missing 7 straight cuts and wins the Wells Fargo tournament, and it puts in the paper $1.3 million. So then he makes money. Okay, but my point is, you look at some of these golfers that are 128th in the FedEx Cup, 129th in the FedEx Cup. They're not guaranteed spots every tournament. They got to get in. They got to play in a Monday qualifier, okay, and all that stuff. Golf is the hardest sport of all the sports I work in because it is so hard to win a golf tournament. You're playing against 170 people every weekend. You make a cut, you're down to 60 or whatever it is, okay? In NASCAR, you're racing the same 36, 40 guys every weekend. Some guys make the cut if they have the Daytona 500. But it's still hard, don't get me wrong. But golf is different. Golf is a sport where the Live Tour has come in and kind of taken over their side of it, where there's guaranteed money over there now. The PGA Tour is changing their model, and there will be guaranteed money as well coming in to some of these guys to pay for caddies, to pay for travel. Because you got to remember, not only do they have the travel, you got golf coaches, you got strength coaches, you got mental coaches. You know what I mean? So you got all this stuff. So, which is a big part for the NASCAR kids too, is going back to what you were saying. Watching these kids need to be, I don't want to say lifting weights in the gym, these young kids, but they need to be getting trainers, working out, training, and learning as they go. Mental coaches are big for a lot of stuff.
I'm so glad you said that because that is another thing I wanted to ask you both, frankly. How invested do you allow yourselves to get in when drivers who we know can be head cases, and I say that as a compliment, they got a lot going on in their
I get very invested. I got a lot on the line.
But or said another way, their confidence is worth 2/10. Right?
100%.
I like, a confident driver is at least 2/10 faster. And I've seen it too many times. I remember when Dale Jr.'s like, I'm the best race car driver on the track. He would win races. When that just ounce of doubt started infiltrating and getting into his mind, it snowballed. It snowballed into what was that? We went 2 years or something without a win. And it was like, wow, this was I'm the best race car driver on the track to, I'm just trying to, now you got, Lance McGrew keeping him out there just to lead a lap on old tires. And it's like, what are we doing to his confidence? So my question to both of you is that, like, how often, even as much as you want to just be into the business side of this, whether it be running Junior Motorsports, Kelly, or, in all these drivers' careers for you, Josh, you sometimes end up in the personal stuff and the mental and the confidence. You end up having to coach them up, having to be a psychiatrist or something. How often does that happen? And do you enjoy that part? What do what's the line on that? On getting too close then? Yeah,
we get pretty invested because, they're in our cars week in and week out. And so you're right, that confidence is a difference maker. And it's not, it goes to the crew chief and their team and everything just really gelling together and those people getting along and not having any issues. And you have to get in the middle of that when you see that go sour. So, very heavily invested from my standpoint.
I think her standpoint's more important than my standpoint.
Well, sure, because she's got her team of
because
people.
You have teams and employees.
Yeah.
And you're having to maintain a lot.
Yeah.
What I do on my side a lot, I listen a lot. After races, my phone's open, and I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of venting, and they want to get their frustration out of how bad the car was, how bad this, and it's not even just that, how bad the caddy was this weekend reading putts, how bad my coach trained me this week. You know what I mean? Like it's everything. I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm kind of a guy they just lean on for advice. And what do you need to do here? I'll say, do you want me to make a phone call? Do you want me to call somebody? I'll call somebody for you. You're a voice of reason.
Yeah. Usually they don't. They just want you're available. It's what it sounds like.
Basically, and a voice of reason because it comes down to like, God, we were awful today. We were awful, terrible. Oh, okay, that's fine. Hey, we're still in this. We're good. It's only one race. Okay, it's only one race. We're still got 35 to go. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. So a lot of part of my job is a voice of reason. I mean, it doesn't matter. The biggest one is when a UFC fighter loses a fight on Saturday, that phone call Sunday when they say, hey, I'm sorry, it was terrible. I wasn't ready. I froze up or whatever it is. It's part of it, dude. It's part of it, or her.
I think another part of it too is like being able to mentor them on the bigger picture, right? And sharing that experience with you. And I won't name names, but this has happened at Millbridge. I was innocent bystander to a situation where you have two teammates driving for a particular owner out there in the micros who personally have issues with each other. So therefore, they're in the same dash and they, have an issue with each other, but they're racing for the same team. And they come in and the team owner's livid, and so they're going to them. And then it's that voice of reason, like you said, that bigger picture of why is this important, right? Where do you leave things? What do you do? So, in your role of managing and coaching drivers, and I mean, I do this with Dale often, it's like you want to listen. And I'm in a unique role being sister and the business person, and I have to figure out which hat sometime to put on, right? But you want to listen, but then you also want to offer up advice and mentorship and suggestion or whatever it is. If the car, I don't know much about the competition part of it. I love my role here because I take it like the motherly figure, right? I let competition yell at them, get in the meetings, do whatever. And then when I know they're done, I go out to the drivers and I put my arms around them or whatever, and give them whatever kind of encouragement they need.